Hey, let's bring in the Interior Secretary, Doug Burgum. He joins us live now. Mr. Secretary, honor to have you on the program today, sir. I'll ask you a question so many are talking about, and that is gas and oil prices. Thankfully, we have seen oil come down significantly, more than 20% since Election Day. Gas prices are now negative under this administration, almost to the $3 mark. How much do you believe they will continue to go down? The president is talking about, I think I've heard him talk about $2 gas.
Well, John and Sandra, President Trump, when he ran on a policy of energy abundance. And this meant for us to be able to have so much energy, sell it to our friends and allies so they can stop buying from adversaries like Russia and Iran, have so much energy that we can have prosperity at home. So all of his initiatives around the Middle East, around the world, is really about energy diplomacy. Again, prosperity at home, peace abroad. And he's delivering. We had record oil production this year in America. Set in July, we'll break those records again this soon. And then also record LNG exports. I mean, really, the United States saving Europe from Russian gas by our massive exports. A year ago, this is the week that President Trump got elected. A year ago, there was a ban on LNG export facilities being built in our country. Now, America, #1 LNG exporter in the world, up 25% over last year. That's a credit to President Trump's policies and American ingenuity.
Mr. Secretary, let me ask you, if I could, about this meeting with Ahmed al-Sharaa. It's the first time that a Syrian president's ever been to the White House, as we pointed out with Mark Meredith. I know that there's a modest, I guess you could call it, amount of oil in Syria. It's 2.5 billion barrels taken to be, which is not nothing. It's not a lot, but it's not nothing either. But I know that al-Sharaa was recently in Russia talking with Putin about further developing the oil fields in Syria. You were over in the Middle East recently as well. How do we make sure that if it comes to cutting a deal with Syria on oil and gas, the United States gets the lion's share of that deal rather than Russia?
Well, one great thing that's happening right now across the Eastern Mediterranean, from Greece to Croatia to Israel, all of that area, there are gas resources there, and we've seen American companies, Chevron, ExxonMobil. We're seeing Greece is drilling its first offshore oil platform in over 40 years. People are understanding that this whole idea, there is no energy transition, as people have talked about it, the climate extremists, talk about it's energy addition. We need more energy to lift up humanity. We need more energy for artificial intelligence. And when we've got energy abundance, it's one of the ways, again, we can not have our allies have to buy Russian or Iranian oil and gas, which was funding the terrorism machine and funding the war machine, still is today. And so Syria does have resources. There is an opportunity to develop those resources, but we should be developing those as part of this agreement. And I know that I think as we're talking, Scott Bessent is meeting with the Syrian leadership right now. And I know and whenever we talk trade, whenever we talk with any of these countries about tariffs, energy is on the table. And these are resources that should be flowing to our allies, not supporting the Russian war machine.
Mr. Secretary, I want to circle back to where I started, and specifically, I made sure that I looked up that. I had heard President Trump mention $2 gas potentially could happen. It was at a press conference in Tokyo where he said, we're going to see $2 gasoline pretty soon, he said. That would be a significant drop from where we are today. But here he is in his own words on the energy costs that we are seeing today. Listen.
We have energy down to a pretty low point right now in the United States. We're drilling, drill, baby, drill, we call it. But energy costs are very low. Our general costs are very low.
So considering all the efforts you just described to amp up our production here at home and become not just energy independent, but, energy thriving, some would say, we have the potential to do. How low could gas go? What's your forecast?
Well, I think what we're seeing is we're going to continue to see a downward pressure on energy prices because of abundance, because of the increase in supply that's coming out, because President Trump accelerating permitting, cutting red tape, all the things that we're doing as a whole of government as part of President Trump's agenda of energy dominance, that dominance to be able to, again, have the ability to drive prices down. When you lower the price of energy, then you lower the price of everything, because there's an energy component in the food you eat, the car you drive, and the clothes on your back. But $2 is a ways away. way, if you do it inflation adjusted back from the 60s, this is one of the things that is still as low as it was then. And again, credit to the American industry for increasing the supplies over and over and over again in this country through technology, which has allowed us to have, as a nation, part of our prosperities be based on affordable energy. But your question of how low, the price of gasoline varies around this country because of policies of each state. Some states' taxes are very high on energy. Some states are blocking energy. And with AI coming, AI is going to flow towards the places that have low energy prices. They're not going to go to places like California and New York, where the capital is going to flow to places where there's low electricity prices. We have some states that are still blocking the use of these great natural resources we have, like natural gas, which can bring down the price of electricity. And it's not just price at the pump, it's the electrical bills that are going to be on people's minds next year at election time in November of a year from now. And again, President Trump's doing everything he can to drive affordability for American citizens.
I remember one of my first summer jobs as a teenager was at a gas station, $49.9 a gallon. Those were the days. That was a long, long time ago. Good to see you, Mr. Secretary. Thanks.
Good point about inflation adjusted, though. $3, when you adjust it for inflation, it's pretty darn low right now. Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.